Hey, good morning, Matthew. I'm Klaus Eckhof, representing Rome Resources, which is going to be listed on the AIM market pretty soon, highly focused on the DRC and mainly tin company.
Fantastic, Klaus. Lovely to meet you. We've not really met or spoken before, and it's a new story for our followers and subscribers. Okay, tin. So clearly very popular at the moment, but also slightly unknown. So we'll get into that in a second. Let's start off with you. What's your background relevant to what you're doing here?
Well, we are a highly focused team on the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and working there since 25 years. And various commodities, from tin to gold to copper to lithium, everything what is sought after in the world.
Right, and give me a sense of what you've achieved in the past. Have you had successes?
Yeah, we had several world-class deposits over the last 25 years, from copper deposits up to motor gold mines, which is now Barrick's Kibali mine in the northeastern part of the Congo, then Alpha Min, which is one of the highest grade tin deposits in the world, and then also AVZ Minerals, which had highly a world-class deposit in the lithium sector.
Okay, and who are you working with? Who's on the team?
That's Mark Gessen, my partner. He's a geologist. We're both geologists. And then usually one or two or three exploration manager, which we're working together since 25 years.
Okay. Right, so you picked up tin. As I say, tin is a slightly esoteric for most people. It's not, it's not gold, it's not copper, it's not nickel. It's probably little understood. So tell us about the market for tin at the moment.
Yeah, tin is a small niche metal, but highly sought after, especially in the EV sector and the computer industry. But it's also a soldier metal for anything which is in the electrification necessary. Very difficult to find. There's only a few deposits around the world which at current prices make a lot of money, but there's not much around in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be in sort of private hands rather than public hands. I mean, Alpha Men, obviously, I think most people understand. Just sticking on the kind of tin market, you told us some of the use cases. Where's the most tin found and produced from? Who are the kind of main, proponents of tin?
Historically, it was Malaysia and Indonesia, but that's mainly alluvial, which was found through dredging and in rivers and also in oceans. But the problem is there, that the grade has dropped dramatically over the years there, so they'd be looking at very low grade. And that underpins the current tin price too. At 20,000 US, very difficult to make money for anybody in the world other than Alpha Min and the San Rafael mine in Peru.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Actually, I remember being on a tin dredger in Malaysia as a 4-year-old with my father. Blast from the past. Okay. So in terms of the market drivers, I think we understand a little bit more about it. Now, the other components here, I think people will want to understand a little bit more about the DRC. In most people's minds, they're thinking cobalt, child labor, doesn't sound too good. What's the reality on the ground?
We're working there since 25 years. We never had any child labor or anything like that necessary, but the perception is basically there because you have a lot of artisanal activity in the DRC. So it's widespread artisanal mining, and that's basically where the bad name comes from. But usually what we do is we actually exploring areas where there is nobody working, grassroots, and start from scratch. And we're actually employing most, if there is artisanal activity there, we usually employ the artisanals as employees for the company.
And what do you think in terms of on the ground? Are things changing? Because I think obviously OEM, car manufacturers are demanding better ethical mining from the DRC. Has there been change on the ground, where there is artisanal workings?
Historically, that artisanal activity was the main job which most of the locals had there. Yeah. But with other Western companies coming in, they usually have completely different standards, which are really standardized in the West, like Australia or Canada. It's the same, with resource companies who have to drill out the deposit to a certain standard. So there's a difference there nowadays.
Okay. Well, look, this is kind of a quick run through and a quick introduction to the company, and I'm kind of blasting through a few topics here. So maybe if you come back on, we can get into the detail on a few more of these, or if people want to send questions in, we'll deal with that. Let's talk about the asset, right? First of all, how did you pick up the asset?
Well, we focus on finding world-class deposits, and then we look around, what is available. And naturally, the tin market was quite hot at one stage. Well, it has come down to 20,000 again, which it always does, and now it's back to above 30,000. But we knew that the areas to the north of Alpha-Min are very prospective, and we just watched these licenses, which were held in various other companies, usually Asian companies, over the time, but nobody ever done any work on it. And as we know that Alpha-Min is more focused on production rather than being an explorer, we were able to pick up the licenses 3 years ago and develop them to a drill-ready stage now.
Okay, and do you own 100% of this, or what was the deal structure?
No, we have Congolese partners, which we always like to have, because you need some representation on the ground in Kinshasa and also on the ground. So we always have Congolese partners, which we know since 25 years.
Okay. And so, what's that arrangement look like for you and your shareholders?
Well, the partners usually have a direct interest, but sometimes, some of the interests have been converted already to shares. So we're in the process to do that successfully, to convert those ones into the public company, the percentages.
Right, okay. And what are you obliged to do given that arrangement? How much do you need to spend? What do you need to do?
We don't, there's no arrangements there. I mean, usually the DRC, what forces you to actually be aggressive on work in the DRC is your overheads and then the license fees. There is no requirements like in Australia or Canada where you have to spend a certain amount every year to keep the license in good standing. There you have the rule, after 5 years, you have to drop 50%, which you don't need. So you have to actually be aggressive on it, find what you want and what you want to keep.
Okay, and tell me a little bit more about the asset. What did you know going into this? What information was available to you?
Well, we knew that the granite, which is in that location, has also a northern part, and we knew that at that area there is a flexure there, which opened up the granite fluid to come to the surface on a bigger scale than on the eastern side where the Alpha-Min project is situated. And we looked around, we walked around in the jungle there to see, if we can find something which is attractive, and soil sampled the whole licenses, and that basically developed then into these 2 target areas.
So give us the details on the 2 target areas, the prospects.
Well, the 2 target areas, they're basically the footprint for the tin projects, and they're probably double the size at least as Alpha-Min's footprint was originally, and they're on ridges, so there is no alluvials or dispersion there. So it's real the anomaly. And on those ridges, you could actually then see also the tin on the surface and other metals.
Okay, and obviously you got two targets with not so much data at the moment, but you're going to go through a data gathering exercise. You're listing, you're presumably raising some money concurrently with that. What are you going to do? Well, do you know how much you're going to raise, and what are you going to do with those funds?
Well, we targeted initially £4 million, but there's good interest there, so it might actually go to £6 million, the capital raising, which allows us to be more aggressive, to have, instead of 2 drill rigs, probably 4 drill rigs on site, which is always good because your overhead stays the same, no matter how much drill rigs are on site. And we can start drilling immediately in mid-July, and then should produce the first results probably middle of August.
Right. Okay. And so obviously you've done this before when you were, when you discovered Alpha-Min's assets. What type of drilling do you go for? Are we diamonds? Are you RAB? I mean, what's the most efficient way of getting after these targets?
The most efficient way in that location is diamond drilling. It's harder for an RC rig to get on site there. So with diamond, it's a lot easier to move around and set up the drill pads. So all the drilling will be diamond drilling. the positive thing on diamond drilling is also you can actually see the metals better. You also have a guesstimate, what the grades will be, and also the widths of the ore bodies.
Right, and now you're not going completely blind into this. You use a kind of polymetallic type of structure, so at Matagoma, quite good grades.
Well, one of the anomalies is in a different mineralization zone. It's higher up in the system, which then comes with copper and zinc, which falls out at lower temperatures, while the other one is at higher temperatures, almost fell out. The metals fell out at higher temperatures, so that's a pure tin play. While the other one, you have a cap there, which will be your copper zinc cap, and then you get into the tin zone at a lower level, around 200 meters roughly.
Right. Okay. So let's talk me through the kind of work program for this year. Potentially up to 4 rigs. So again, talk to me about timing. We'll put it in dollar or meter terms. Maybe people could understand it better.
Yeah, we will drill on both projects, on both anomalies. We will drill around 14 holes, and those ones will generate a resource in Q4, an initial resource, which is called the inferred resource. So we'll be fairly aggressive to have that out.
How do you do that? How does that work? I've seen this in nickel, where perhaps on when they're getting up to sulfides, they don't need that many holes. But is it the same for tin then?
Well, it's pretty much the same. We just drilling out higher levels and lower levels, so that we actually can infer a resource down to deeper levels. And then on the surface, we know where it outcrops, so we can actually calculate also within the next probably 4 to 6 weeks, an exploration target, which gives us an idea what we will have at the end of the year.
So how does this work? Obviously, if you're looking at gold companies and they came to market with a, let's say, equivalent of like 500,000 ounce resource, the market would shrug its shoulders and go, I don't care. For tin, what's a decent sized resource look like? And, how quickly can you work to try to understand the economics around that?
Very quickly, because tin also, as you know, is easily to recover out of gravity. So you don't need a plant like for the gold mining industry or other industry or other metals. If you just give an idea, the capex with infrastructure for Alphamin was around 140 million US. You go north and you look at Kibali, which was 20 million ounces there. That was 1.8 billion for the infrastructure on the plant. So it's a different scale, and you can start working very quickly on that one.
Is that the intent here? Do you feel you could replicate an Alphamin type social? Because like speed to market. Well, sorry, the business model, the business plan is critical here. And I think given it's tin, given maybe not everyone understands it, can you maybe lay out a potential plan or what your hopes are?
Yeah, based on our track record, what we do is if we can't find a buyer for the project at resource stages or PFS, once we finish that, then we will look around, for a strategic partner who comes in. For example, Alphamin had initially a strategic partner like Malaysian Tin Smelter in there. We will look at that one over the course of the next 3 months already. So we actually will preempt that so that we will have a partner by the end of the year.
Okay, that's quite aggressive. So it's not the case of, Alphamin is the likely partner. There are options elsewhere for people who understand tin, want tin. But is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Asia, out of Asia, there is a lot of interest there. Certainly, Singapore and China, there is a lot of people interested in that metal. And then these companies then will come in maybe as an 8 or 10% shareholder.
Right, but what's your experience in the background? Have you done that? Have you found a partner and taken things through to production, or do you like to take it through to definitive feasibility study and then offload it? And what's your track record on that?
Yeah, historically, we're Mark and myself, we're geologists, so we're not mining engineers, and we don't have a layered sort of company, where we can tap into the mining side or so. So we basically are a very lean and mean geologist team, but we need then to change the board usually to have a mining outlook. Then mining engineers come in, and if you go that route, then you suddenly need 200 or 300 employees, and then you have different management structure, and that's not really what we're doing usually.
Yeah. I think business is easy if it wasn't for the people. Huh?
Yeah, it's fine, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have some of the geologists which we know, they have a different ego. They think, you know, they can bring everything into production, and then because they're geologists, it's a different mindset than a mining engineer. The other one is numbers, the other one is blue sky.
Okay.
And that doesn't really work out that well.
It seems. I understand. I think that's wise commentary. We see companies fall over all the time because of people perhaps a little bit too ambitious with the skill sets they have. But you also sound very aggressive, very ambitious in terms of the timeline. You think that this can be very, very quick. I mean, you're talking about an IPO like tomorrow. But you're also talking a game of kind of getting resource out by the end of the year. It's. Do you feel it's doable?
Yeah, it's definitely doable because what we know already to date and what we have generated, the data, gives us already an idea what we will have at the end of the year. So we know I wouldn't say we can guarantee something. The only thing what we can guarantee is there will be a resource. We don't know the grade, we don't know the size yet. And that's what we try to establish, you know, where we could be at the end of the year.
Well, Klaus, look, I'm interested for sure because there's not too many tin options out there, certainly not in the public market. We are following you with great interest. Good luck with the IPO, and stay in touch, okay?
Thank you very much, Matthew, and look forward to speaking again to you.